Well, it's officially week 2 of the government shutdown. Here's where things stand. Over the weekend, the House unanimously voted on a bill and approved it that ensures back pay for all those federal workers who were furloughed. Also, Secretary of Defense Chuck Hagel ordered nearly 350,000 civilian employees back to work despite the furlough. Hundreds of thousands of others are still sitting at home and waiting for a spending bill to be resolved. And in terms of the spending bill itself, well, nothing, nada, zip, zilch, diddly squat. We are about as close to a spending bill agreement as we were last week, which is not close at all. To fill us in on all the latest from this 3-ring congressional circus is our own Capitol Hill ringmaster, political commentator, Sam Sachs. Hi there, Sam.
Hello.
So obviously we're in week 2 of this shutdown, and we are counting down to default. I actually saw CNN has a clock ticking down to default.
We're counting up since the shutdown and now counting down to
I know, it's crazy, but you're the one that's supposed to be breaking this down for us. But that's according to the Treasury. Are we any closer to ending either one of these political stalemates?
No, and I think as you mentioned in the beginning, we're getting a little bit farther away. It seems like this evening, House Republicans will again meet, and they're going to pass their piecemeal funding approach rather than this one, let's fund the government. They just want to fund specific agencies. Senate Democrats aren't going along with it. The White House has called it a gimmick. Meanwhile, there is movement in the House among Democrats to try and force a vote on this clean spending bill passed by the Senate to reopen the government. If Democrats can get 218 signatures on what's called a discharge petition, that would require them to get at least 18 Republicans and all the Democratic votes. If they file that discharge petition, they can force a vote on the clean government spending bill within 2 weeks. This is the same vote that President Obama today called for. Lots of Senate Democrats have called for this vote in the House, but Speaker of the House John Boehner refuses to bring up this clean spending bill, saying he doesn't think it'll pass, but really people say, well, the reason why he doesn't want to bring up is because it will pass, and it will require mostly Democratic votes, and it'd be another kick in the face, I guess, to the Tea Party caucus that Boehner's trying to control. Now on to the debt limit, which we're 10 days away from the debt limit. Last week, we saw a New York Times article that said that Speaker Boehner may cave on this, that if push comes to shove and we come down to the debt limit deadline, the Speaker will bring a clean debt limit vote to the floor and it'll be voted on. Well, on Sunday, he walked back that and he said, no, we're not going to do that. I want to get concessions from the White House first. That might include dollar-for-dollar spending cuts, repeal of EPA regulations, and even, Obamacare, defunding, delaying Obamacare again. So that's where we are. We know that the president won't go for any of this. And ultimately, we're talking about a 6-week spending bill. We're not talking about they're fighting over a bill for a year or a budget. We're talking about a bill that will keep the government open till mid-November that they can't agree on at this point.
So apparently they just can't agree on anything these days, Sam. Now, we're into week 2 of the shutdown, as I said. What are some of the other kind of consequences that the American public is suffering as a result of the shutdown?
Right. Well, the first week there was a lot of talk about no funding for the National Institutes of Health, which delayed a lot of cancer treatments, cutting off federal food stamp program, which affects people who are food insecure and need food. We talked about problems at the Veterans Administration. I think we have a graphic here of some other agencies that are being affected here by this. Organic food standards, they're not being verified at this point. The Department of Homeland Security's division, which handles civil liberties complaint, it's been closed. The E-Verify system, which makes sure that businesses aren't employing undocumented workers, is down. The Amber Alert system, that was down. That's now back up and running because that was pretty embarrassing. And also, a lot of agencies that deal with transparency and oversight, the Inspector General's office in the Department of Defense, the Office of Special Counsel, which handles waste, fraud, and abuse in government, that's been closed down. The Merit Systems Protection Board, which handles which protects whistleblowers from retaliation in the workplace, that's been closed down. The FOIA office, that's been shuttered. They're still taking FOIA requests, but there aren't as many people handling that, which means the backlog for Freedom of Information Act requests is growing larger and larger. So the ironic thing is here, members of Congress who are concerned about waste, fraud, and abuse and overspending have shut this government down, and now the very agencies that are shut down are the ones focused on waste, fraud, and abuse and spending.
Very interesting. Thank you for breaking down the latest political commentator, Sam Sachs, our own RT Political 3-ring circus master.
I forgot my lion tamer chair here. I'll bring it next time.